Now, there's absolutely no doubt about it that by far one of the most anticipated Star Wars TV shows of 2023 is, of course, the Ahsoka Tano series starring actress Rosario Dawson, because of all of the inspiration that it's going to draw from when it comes to Star Wars Legends by Favreau and Filoni, utilizing all those stories and throwing it into the upcoming shows for next year. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe that a lot of fans have been very invested in has a lot to do with the fact of what's been going on with the character of Grogu. Now, we already know that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing everything in their power to really making these new revelations that revolve around Grogu to be something quite of an impact on the fandom that's going to keep us talking for years upon years. They really are making sure that Grogu is going to have a very big involvement across the board when it comes to the Skywalker saga. Now, with that being said, there's also a lot of things that are coming out of this by Favreau and Filoni. They also want to make sure that this big revelation related to Grogu is not only going to keep fans talking for years, but it's also going to have an impact on other characters in the story. And when you think about it like that, that really just goes to show you that they're really paying attention to detail. They're making sure that these big reveals are going to be very much quality driven and not just being thrown in there for the sake of it. And that brings us to the next subject today, because Jon Favreau was able to talk a little bit more about his plans with Grogu and the revelation around the character, his true backstory, things like his real name, and everything related to it in that sense. Now, with many new Star Wars TV shows currently in the works by Favreau and Filoni, they are getting ready to make some very important announcements by next year's Celebration event. Now, in a recent interview from Favreau, he went on to reveal some substantial details about Grogu's true identity and his real name. Favreau went on to state the following to the fans: "This is something that myself and Dave have been building up for several months now. We always wanted to explore new secrets behind the beloved character that grew on so many fans ever since The Mandalorian came out. We would like to say that it's divided up into 3 different things. We have plans on revealing his true identity, his real backstory, and lastly, Grogu's real name in the franchise. Regarding his real name, I want to tell fans that we already have the name in mind, and that hardcore fans are absolutely going to be thrilled to find out what his real name is, and how it's going to create earth-shattering implications within the Skywalker saga." Now, let me pause here quickly of what Favreau is saying. Now, this really is becoming a common trend in Star Wars, kind of exploring different identities and who people really are. That's becoming a common trend now. They did it, of course, first in The Empire Strikes Back, which is when it was really pure and unexpected at the time. Followed up by that, we also got it in The Rise of Skywalker with the whole Rey Palpatine situation. And now Filoni and Favreau are kind of retconning that to making her both a Kenobi and a Palpatine at the same time. We've already talked about this. And now the third big one has a lot to do with Grogu and who he really is, and exactly what his real name is, his true identity, his real backstory, all these different things that Favreau and Filoni have already crafted behind the scenes. And George Lucas gave it a 100% approval, and he's very excited for it to come out. John has stated this several times already, that Favreau, of course, or should I say Lucas, is actually raving about this, of what Favreau is doing. And I just gotta say one thing here, this just goes to show you that Favreau has his head on straight. He knows how Star Wars works. He knows how the fans work and what they expect to see on the screen, and I just gotta give him a lot of credit for that. Now, the next thing that a lot of fans are expecting has a lot to do with how this is going to be executed. Exactly how is it going to be implemented into the Mandoverse, so to speak. And he begins to talk about this, which we'll go over in just a second or two. Because The Mandalorian Season 4, it's already being written by Jon Favreau, and it is going to be the destination of all these revelations. So let's get right into what he also says. So he goes on to say, we decided we wanted the Grogu's real name to be a defining moment in Star Wars history, and especially when it comes to its reveal and how it will impact fans. We had already spoke to George about this, and he is thrilled about what we are doing with the name and how it really lends itself to making this moment bigger than I Am Your Father. If there is one thing I can say about his real name, is that this is going to rattle the fans' minds. And we are planning to make it known by Season 4 of Mando. I am already writing away on the show, and everything is turning out for the best, and how it evolves the Grogu story in the large world. I can say once again, with no ego, that this will be our finest reveal for the fans, and even George agreed that this has potential to impact greater than the I Am Your Father moment between Luke and Vader. That's a very interesting thing that Favreau says there about what George told Favreau, that even George, the father of Star Wars himself, said that this holds potential for becoming greater and of an impact on fans than I Am Your Father. Now, there's a lot of ideas being thrown around by the fans. Nobody really knows what Favreau and Filoni are gearing towards when it comes to Grogu's true identity and this big tease of his real name and how it is going to have such a huge impact on the Skywalker saga. Really makes you wonder if one of the fans' thoughts could very well be a reality, that maybe perhaps it has to do with the world between worlds and Grogu is really Yoda from a different point in time earlier in his life, dragged into the present. It could be something like that, and maybe that's why the name itself is going to have such a big impact on the Skywalker saga. Think of it like this for a moment. If it's just some random name, how is it going to have such a great impact on the Skywalker saga films? It really makes you think to yourself what the real name is, what is his true identity, and exactly how is it going to have such an impact on par with the I Am Your Father moment. So there's a lot of things going into this, and you know what? It's things like this that keep fans on edge and very much excited for what's about to come next, and I felt that that was lacking in previous installments, right? You didn't really get much of this in the Boba Fett show. You know, I'm talking about build-up, like excitement level build-up, you know, where you have something substantial like this, something big that's larger than the show itself, that's going to impact pretty much just how we view Star Wars in a sense of certain characters. It's kind of like the feeling that we all had back when the sequel trilogy came out, when, you know, a lot of people were like, who is Snoke? Who is Rey? You know, what's going on here and there? I think that's the missing point right now, and that Favreau and Filoni are really trying to fill that void, and they are doing that successfully now with the build-up of Grogu, the build-up of other characters out there like Luke and Ahsoka and more. There's a lot more to explore. So anyways, guys, with that all being done and said, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. From night to moon, we hear them moans again.